Welcome back to another Supercoach video with me, JD. You are joining me for the second team update of the preseason. We've had Supercoach officially open, we've had the new rules released, and I guess it's as good a time as any to actually provide a bit of an update with the team, what it currently looks like, what I'm thinking about. And of course, as always, this is going to change a lot between now and round one. You've already seen some changes in this one, but let's crack into it. I'll give you an overview of the picks and I guess kind of what my logic is. Hopefully it'll help build your teams. But if you do have any questions, hit me up below. Or if you have any suggestions around what I should be doing differently, I'd also be interested in hearing those. So starting down back, Lloyd, Hall and Whitfield are all exactly the same as Team 1. Lloyd, a little bit underpriced just with Dawson leaving. Potentially that does help. From the numbers I've looked at, I'm a little bit skeptical, but I think he's just, he was down on his 2020 output anyway, so there should be some upside the pick. I think George mentioned he's someone that is a solid pick, but you don't have to start him, and I kind of feel the same way. I think there's a lot of picks in defense that are solid, but you don't have to start them. But I think I can pick the top 6 defenders now before round 1, which is pretty rare to do, or at least the 6 that I want. And so it's a bit of a weird position because I don't really want to stuff the back line, but at the same time, it's where I'm most confident in my selections. But yeah, Lloyd's a good D1 for now. He has been someone I've been playing around with, downgrading him if I need an extra 30, 40K for whatever I want to do. Hall next, so similar to Lloyd, has some upside in his price. Because he played one game in that half-forward role. He had one game with a sub-vest, one game with a concussion, whatever it may be. So yeah, he does have some upside at the price he's picked. The big downside is his age and his injury history, but I think he's someone that can go 120 for the year, basically, if the role continues as what it was last year, and that's someone you kind of have to start. Even if they go down injured, the money that you'll make and the points you'll make off them still make them a worthwhile pick if they kind of last the first 6 to 10 rounds. That's what we saw with Dunkley last year, for example. Jordan Dawson is one that I have been playing around with. So Ridley was who I had last time, or maybe even Short. I've been playing around with all 3 of them. I think they're all great picks. And this is what I mean. Short and Ridley are the 2 that I don't have. I could very happily have them in my team. And I don't even hate a pick like Crisp at the moment, who's pretty popular as well. So I guess why Dawson over some of the others? I've mentioned this a couple of times in different places, but the 2 top defenders from last year were both inside mids in Rory Laird and Callum Mills. And I'm trying to figure out who is that person this year that's that same kind of inside mid role that flourishes. It could be someone like a George Hewitt, which that's a long outside odds, but Dawson is the person I currently have as potentially doing that. By the training reports we've heard so far, he's playing wing with inside mid time as well. We saw him score really well on that wing role in the back half of last year for the Swans, so that combining it with inside mid time to me means good things. But he is someone that I have been playing around with a little bit, as it could be Ridley, it could be Short. And then Whitfield, someone that I'm really high on. I know a lot of others aren't because of his injury history, and that's fine. I just think at the discounted price we're getting him to all the other options I've mentioned, so between a 35 and a 80K discount, he represents someone that could go 110 plus, and he's pretty much role-proof, which is great when you play in GWS, and Liam Cameron's known to do weird stuff, but he can score well in almost any role he plays there. So I'm a big fan of Whitfield, and I love watching him play. He's someone that I would be really wary about not having in my side come round 1. So to finish out the bench, obviously rookies are placeholders at the moment, but these are the best guesses at the ones I'll be looking at starting. So you've got Sin and Perez here as the 2 more expensive ones. Sin is someone that Porter's obviously rated quite highly, so they traded up in the draft to get him. He was already training with Butters the week before, or at least a few weeks, I think, before he even got drafted. And it was talked about that he'd start in that halfback role, that he's that dashing halfback kind of rebounding type. But he's also been getting mid-rotations as well already, so that's all really positive stuff for his scoring. And Port back in their rookies. Hinkley has shown in the past that when rookies have come in and played well, they can lock down a role in that best 22. So I think Sin's someone that if he starts round 1, that is someone we should be jumping on. And then Perez, I think, is someone that they've kind of touted as a eventual Hall replacement, Hall or Zebel replacement, and they do need to figure out who that is going to be, given Hall and Zebel's ages, respectively. There's not a ton of time left on their careers. So someone that we should be seeing get games at North from hopefully round 1. and get 22 of those. But there's a couple of other expensive options that are good that could pop up. So I kind of see myself at least running two. There is a world where I run three of them and one of these defenders becomes a fifth midfielder, which I'd love to do, but I just think for now it looks like we're going to have stronger rookies in the midfield and less down in defence and up forward. So kind of structuring around that, even though it does leave me with like this awkward 88k in the bank at the moment. And then on the bench, O'Driscoll I haven't heard much of apart from I think he's a second or third year, so he's like more mature, Freo kind of player. But like I've been looking through reports for him and I haven't found much, just like someone I've seen be picked a fair bit. And so this is what I mean, like I'm pretty worried. Like we get past Sin and Perez, who are, I think both pretty likely to get games. And then I go to Driscoll, I'm like, no, I don't even know who you are. And then Dean for Collingwood is someone that could get, like I think it's like a third defender type role, but there's a few in line for that. So like hopefully we get him, because one or two rookies, you don't get many of those and they'd be nice, but he's someone that has been talked up and could potentially get a role. So in the midfield, Mccray and Steele, this hasn't really changed from last time. Mccray has that very nice fixture to start with lots of games. At Marvel, he's, perennially one of the top 2 or 3 Supercoach players. He's durable. There's not a lot of things that go against him. I think the only real downsides are, do they start to take some CBAs away from him this year, more so than they have done in previous years? We saw them play around with that a little bit towards the end of the back end of last year, but I don't think that was their optimal setup to do that. I think they were better with him on the ball. So, yeah, I guess one to watch. But, I feel pretty good about Mccray. And normally I like betting against the top picks in each of their lines. So to have like Lloyd and Mccray as my 1 and 2 at the moment doesn't feel great. And then Steele is someone that I'm pretty high on. I just think that he's still got more upside to come when it comes to disposals and St Kilda improving, but he has that really nice floor due to his tackling and defensive game, and I don't think he's a big chance of getting tagged. And even if he does get tagged, then I think he's one that will wear those well. Mitchell is someone I've been high on all year. He hasn't left my side yet. I've seen some worrying reports that they were maybe playing around with him on a wing or a half-forward flank, but I have a feeling this is just to trial kind of different setups and structures for the Hawks, as well as let some of their younger players get some training and practice time in the midfield. I'm not too worried about it at the moment. I guess we can wait and see what they do in the preseason game, but yeah, he's someone that I'm really high on. I think he's quite underpriced given what he can produce. And then Lockheed Neal, same boat. Obviously, injuries hampered him a lot towards the end of last year. He's so far fully fit in the preseason, doing everything. He's one of the ones that have been catching people's eyes and attention during preseason as well. So all really positive signs for Neal to get back to his best. So one that I think is hard to look past at the moment. To finish out the midfield, we've got Finn Mccray, who look... I don't know. I've heard some mixed reports saying he may not be as secure as some people thought he was when it comes to best 22 for the Hawks midfield. And when you look at some of the A team, B team, C team kind of match him training reports has done, he's not always one of those first pick ones. So I'm softening a little bit on the Mccray pick, but I think he's still locked in for now because he does seem like someone that if he does get games in that Collingwood midfield, he should get a lot of opportunity to be able to score quite well on the back of it, especially being a second-year player and coming from the same pedigree as his older brother Jack. So yeah, we'll keep him there for now. Dacos is one that everyone has at the moment, and I think one of the positive things about the rule changes that we've heard so far with the introduction of DPPs in round 6, 12, 18 is that he is someone that should benefit. He's tipped to play a half-back role, which is still a super-friendly Supercoach role, so not worried about his scoring whatsoever. He also has been getting mid-time as well in training drills, which is great. He should just be locked away as a rookie at the moment. But yeah, he may become defence eligible at round 6, which would be quite nice. Erasmus is, I think, like a pretty good chance for Freo at the moment. His main competition would have been Johnson, who's had a 3 to 4 week hammy injury, so take him out of your sides for now if you've got the Freo rookie Johnson. It was actually someone I think I had last time. And they've obviously had, like Mundy's had some foot problems. I think he's back from that now. But I think I think there's a really good chance Erasmus gets games and gets games early. I'm not going to go through the rest, but Goda has been performing pretty well for North, mainly like off halfback. So also someone that if he gets games could get that defense mid kind of eligibility. Not totally sold that he's best 22. Reef Mcguinness is up next, another one that has been training down the house or training house down by all reports. But the worrying thing for Reef is, I guess, in the earlier preseason, he was getting some mid time. And then the last match they did, he was, I think, stuck forward the whole time. So that's makes him definitely less attractive as a pick. I mean, he may get mid-forward eligibility kind of down the track, but I don't really want to start forwards in the midfield. So maybe someone that we move out. Mead is someone that got tipped early as a mature age body that is looked at quite favourably at Port, but I haven't seen a lot of Port training reports. I just haven't been able to find them outside of the limited information we found for people like Sin. And then Clark is a really good shout from West Coast at the moment. So they're struggling. They had a match sim where he was in the A team and Shuey went off like instantly, took the GPS out, rumoured to be some type of soft tissue injury. And Clark was already in the A team in the midfield before that even happened. So Clark is one that you should be sticking on your bench. And he may even be on the field spot. In the rucks, so Darcy and Grundy, nothing too revolutionary here. I think a lot of people are rolling with this at the moment. That hasn't changed since my first team. And same with Hayes on the bench. Once again, with Port updates, haven't seen anything on Hayes either. I'm hoping we get a playing R3. If we don't, I guess we'll just move to a more appropriate loophole. But I'm really hoping for a playing ruck this year, especially given Darcy does have some injury or durability concerns. And in the forward line, where probably most of my changes have happened, the forward line is a little bit of a mess at the moment. But I think a lot of people are running with the same structure. Or actually, I have seen people go down to one forward, and I disagree with that. I'll just talk about it now, I guess. So with the new DPV eligibility, a lot of people are tipping that we're going to get a whole bunch of great midfielders in our forward line come round 6 and beyond. And that's what we're going to fill them up with. It's not going to be your Butters, your Heaney, your Degoe, whatever it may be. It's going to be Dangerfield, Fife, Gorn, Bontempelli, like a bunch of these types of players, Petrarca maybe. But having a look at the data from last year for AFL Fantasy, there was only 2 players that became forward eligible that would have been relevant for Supercoach. And that was Josh Kelly and that was Sean Darcy. So I think if we follow a similar trend, even if you say like there's 3 of these people that are going to come into our forward lines that are going to be relevant, I think we can start 2 or 3 primos still from the forward line that we think were the best picks and be pretty happy with those. We have a tendency to overreact to change in the Supercoach community, and I think going down to 1 premium forward is going to be a reflection of that, unless we really aren't sold on either the second premium or we get enough good mid-price forward options at the moment. And I'm talking probably 4, because I think Mcguinness from Hawks is the only other rookie that looks like it may be fieldable option. Hollands is a lock, and then DeConning and Skinner. Like Skinner may not get games, and if he does, he should be a good scorer playing down back for Port. But DeConning is someone that looks like he might get games but not score very well, so like just a bench option at the moment. So with that in mind, I've kept the structure of going 2 premium forwards at the moment, with Butters being the second one. I mean, the Dunkley pick I'm not going to explain. If you don't know by now, then you're going to be in trouble when you find out what's what with Dunkley. And then for Butters, this could be Degoe, it could be Heaney if you really like him. But I think it'd be only one of those 3 for now that I'd probably look at in this second spot. Butters I like just because we did see through the first 3 or 4 rounds at the start of last year that he has that upside, has that potential. We just need to watch and wait and see what's happening with his role. Port have had Dixon and Fantasia both ruled out with injuries. So I think they both had to go in for surgery for lingering problems. So they're not going to be there round 1. So it's a little bit up in the air or worrying about what's going to happen with the Port forward line. Are they going to put Rosie and Butters down there, for example, to help cover that. I mean, I know that neither of them are a replacement for Dixon, but just I mean in terms of putting extra firepower down on the forward line to help out. So, yeah, I think Butters for now, but Degoe, if he somehow avoids jail time and he avoids a sanction from Collingwood, then, you know, he's someone that we could look at, unfortunately, for our second position. Otherwise, Heaney's not a bad shout if he does get that extra midfield time. Yeah, I'm still not completely out on Heaney, which is a worry. In terms of the mid prices I have, so Cogs is the obvious one that hasn't changed. I think most people have him. Gresham is, I guess, a little bit similar to Butters in that we saw a couple of games out of him at the start of last year where he was getting that extra mid-time and he's putting up better scores when it came to Supercoach. Looked really good in there too and offered something different to St Kilda's midfield. So I quite like him as an option if he's fit and firing through the preseason and he's getting that mid-time. I'm not sure that's the case on both of those. So you could treat Gresham as a little bit of a placeholder because there are lots of other forward mid prices at the moment that we could go to. Rayner, West for West Coast got mid time in their A team, which is a good sign as well. Got Rioli. You could look at like riskier options like McGovern as well. But yeah, there's potentially like a few other alternatives that Gresham could become. And then Cano, I'm quite bullish on. I think that price is a very nice one to have. You know, if he was up around Gresham's price, he wouldn't be nearly as attractive, but we have seen that he has that scoring potential. And I almost see him as like another Joe Danaher pick in the sense that the season before last for Joe, he did finish out the year at Essendon playing a handful of games and got through those, then got through a full preseason and then came out and actually was a really good Supercoach option. He did get kind of overshadowed a little bit by Zeeble and Impey, but he was that third good mid-pricer option. And I think Gono could kind of follow in the same footsteps. He finished out last year, not playing the best games by any means, but he actually got through them, has had a full preseason so far, and we know he does have that potential to maybe average like a 70, but score some 100s, 110s along the way and really get that cash generation going. So yeah, pretty bullish on him at the moment until I have reason not to be. So yeah, and then we kind of spoke through the rookies already, but yeah, this is the team as it is. I think the only big changes I could make is if we do get, you know, more mid-pricer options that we like in the forward line, I could see myself dropping a Butters, potentially putting in that extra mid-pricer, and then getting a fifth mid. Or similarly, I could drop someone from the back line, maybe a Dawson, maybe a Lloyd, and getting an extra midfielder as well. If I was to get an extra midfielder, I'm still bullish on Walsh. I both like his trajectory as a player so far. He's still on the up. And then Carlton has a really soft fixture early on. So all positive things for Walsh. But there's lots of good options, whether it's Oliver, Took, whatever it may be. So yeah, that's the team. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you're wondering about. And if you don't follow me, hit me up on Twitter at Jackson Davey. I have been tweeting stats and bits and pieces of research kind of that I don't necessarily use in these videos, but I do come across. So if you're interested in that kind of stuff and you use Twitter, follow me there. Otherwise, I will see you in the next one.